let's get into it. Where are you? Here you go. So it says, this video is an uncensored and unaltered version of the manifesto called Letter to America by Osama Bin Laden, the leader of the terrorist organization Al-Qaeda.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, permission to fight is given to those who are fought against because they have been wronged, and surely Allah is able to give them victory. Those who believe fight in the cause of Allah, and those who disbelieve fight in the cause of Taghut. So fight you against the friends of Satan. Ever feeble is indeed the plot of Satan. Some American writers have published articles under the title, "On What Basis Are We Fighting?"
Can you fight Satan? I'm sorry to interrupt it. This is going to be, and just to be clear, we are going to need, we're not going to finish this today. Too much to get through. Can you fight Satan? You know what it reminds me of? You ever have like a real popular boxer, like let's say Floyd Mayweather, and he decides to fight somebody. Because Floyd Mayweather's so big, now if he decides to fight somebody, what does that do? It increases the popularity of the other person. It gives them a whole lot more fans than they had before. You remember when Floyd fought Maidana, and it was one of those fights where because Floyd probably lost more than 2 rounds, a lot of people were saying like, yo, Maidana won. He probably won 3 rounds, maybe 4. But it didn't seem like the regular Floyd who would be dominant. Floyd got caught with some shots. It seemed like, whoa, like Maidana is doing a lot better than a lot of other opponents. And what it does, and what it did was it created this stardom in Maidana to the point where he made more money, and then they had a second fight, right? And then it continued to boost his popularity. Now, if Floyd Mayweather never decided to fight Maidana, and the only reason he fought him is because Adrian Broner fought him, and Adrian Broner lost to him, which increases popularity. But if Floyd Mayweather never decided to fight him, or if Adrian Broner never decided to fight him, we would never know who he was. At least not this many people. I didn't know about him until they fought him because they were popular people. They had such popularity, the person that they fought. They not only put more money than those people ever made in their pockets, but they also increased their popularity, increased their fan base. So is the proper way to go about fighting Satan to fight Satan? Or would it be to just totally disregard that person as if they don't even exist? Treat it like fear, right? Fear is only relevant if you acknowledge it. A lot of people say. So that would be my question, but let's keep going. Let's keep going.
These articles have generated a number of responses, some of which adhered to the truth and were based on Islamic law, and others which have not. Here we wanted to outline the truth as an explanation and warning, hoping for Allah's reward, seeking success and support from Him. While seeking Allah's help, we form our reply based on 2 questions directed at the Americans. Why are we fighting and opposing you?
I think that's a question that we all should consider. And before he answers, Steve wrote Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. I love that. We're not wrestling against flesh and blood. Our fight is for our own principles, fighting against wrong principles, fighting against evil principles, fighting against ungodly principles. And when I say ungodly, I mean fighting against anything that is here to divide us rather than bring us together. That's the true Satan, not this person over here that decides to do this, or not that person over there that decides to live a particular way. In my opinion, it's for us to raise our standards. The best way to fight anything, the best way to fight anything is what Queez always says: be the change. Be the change that we want to see in the world. We don't have to fight what they're doing over there, because all we're doing is validating that stuff by even giving it a fight. Like it's like when we talk about whether or not boys should be competing in sports against girls. It's almost like the fact that we're having a debate about this is so silly. It's like, why are we even doing this? It's like, why are we even giving validation to people that think that this is okay? We still do it, so maybe I should take my own advice or this own advice. But I think that it's right. I think that it's right. Best way to fight Satan is to resist non-compliance to temptation. I like that. Unc wrote, but it's only a weak-minded person that believes that Satan has the same power as God. God created Satan the same way he created man, by the strength of God's hand he puts forth. Interesting, Unc. Interesting. All right, let's keep going.
What are we calling you to, and what do we want from you? As for the first question, why are we fighting and opposing you? The answer is very simple: because you attacked us and continue to attack us. You attacked us in Palestine, which has sunk under military occupation for more than 80 years. The British handed over Palestine, with your help and your support, to the Jews, who have occupied it for more than 50 years. Years overflowing with oppression, tyranny, crimes, killing, expulsion, destruction, and devastation.
If somebody, let's say a group of you and your friends, or let's say that you're at your crib, and somebody pulls up to your crib and they come there to take your house, to steal your car, and to beat you up. And the people that are with that person, they may be holding guns, or they may have provided the guns to the person that's robbing you, knowing exactly what they were doing. They gave them the guns. They may have stood there in the back just to make sure like everything good, make sure nothing gets out of control, and that the person that's there to rob your house actually gets to rob your house. Would you feel some type of way about the other people that came with that person? I would. If somebody came into my crib and they had a bunch of people with them, that was not just them holding the guns, it was other people, or they were giving them the guns like, yo, or giving them like, yo, hit them with this bat, hit them with this. I would say that they were an accomplice. And I would be just as upset, maybe in some cases more upset than them, for going along with it, for empowering that person to come in here and commit crime in my crib. So can we, I'm just trying to put it in terms that are relatable to us now.
The creation and continuation of Israel is one of the greatest crimes, and you are the leaders of its criminals. And of course, there is no need to explain and prove the degree of American support for Israel. The creation of Israel is a crime which must be erased. Each and every person whose hands have become polluted in the contribution towards this crime must pay its price, and pay for it heavily. It brings us both laughter and tears to see that you have not yet tired of repeating your fabricated lies that the Jews have a historical right to Palestine, as it was promised to them in the Torah. Anyone who disputes with them on this alleged fact is accused of anti-Semitism. This is one of the most fallacious, widely circulated fabrications in history. The people of Palestine are pure Arabs and original Semites. It is the Muslims who are the inheritors of Moses and the inheritors of the real Torah that has not been changed. Muslims believe in all of the prophets, including Abraham, Moses, Jesus.
I'm not sure if y'all peeped that. He said the people of Palestine are pure Arabs and original Semites. I listened to some of this yesterday, not all of it, maybe probably about half of it. And it reminds me of what Kanye said and what Kyrie Irving said. Now, Kanye, I don't even want to bring anything up that Kanye said, honestly, because Kanye's just going so far off the rails, we can't even have a serious conversation. But I remember when Kyrie was saying that he can't be anti-Semitic. He said, I can't be anti-Semitic. And I'm not sure a lot of people peeped what he meant when he was saying. He was saying, I am a Semite. Because he kept saying, I can't be anti-Semite. Like, I know who I am. I can't be anti-Semite. I know who I am. Now, a lot of people didn't understand what he was saying, or I don't think that a lot of people understood what he was saying. I'm not sure I understood what he was saying at the time, or it took me to think about it a little bit and to say, oh, I get what he's saying. Matter of fact, I didn't know what he was saying. But this is centered around the entire argument that the true people, the true Semites, the true people that God spoke about in the Torah are not the Jewish people that occupy the land right now. Now, if we're just being honest, the people in that region, even ChatGPT acknowledged it. It's funny. I went to yesterday real quick. I went to put up a picture. Matter of fact, let me show y'all this. Maybe I still have it in my ChatGPT history. Yes, I do. Okay, so let me go through this with y'all. Let me go through this with y'all. Because I think it's relevant. I think it's relevant. Y'all may not. That's cool. It's my show. You heard? Let me stop. Let me make myself smaller. All right, so this is what I went through in ChatGPT yesterday because I was creating a video for Pete's podcast. And I said, create an image of the most popular prophets that we've had so far. Create an image of the most popular prophets we've had so far. Oh, I typed it twice, obviously. I messed it up. To create an image of the most popular prophets, I want to clarify first. Would you like them represented symbolically? For example, objects, scrolls, light, or as historical character-like figures. For example, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, etc. Also, should it include prophets from multiple religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam? Let me know your preference so I can create an accurate and respectful image. I wrote as historical character-like figures, and yes, multiple religions. So ChatGPT wrote, thanks for confirming. To create the most accurate and respectful image of well-known prophets to multiple religions, and hold on, I want to make sure you guys are seeing it. All right, you guys are seeing what I'm saying. To create the most accurate and respectful image of well-known prophets from multiple religions, such as Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and others, please note, I'll depict the figures with modesty and reverence. For religious sensitivity, faces will either be obscured, radiant, or abstracted where appropriate, especially for Prophet Muhammad per Islamic tradition. The scene will be symbolic, possibly showing them in a unified, peaceful setting, like a mountain or sacred space, each with elements representing their teachings, tablets, scrolls, light, etc. I proceed to generate the image now. Y'all see the image? So immediately what stood out to me, I'm like, whoa, like it's kind of funny that ChatGPT would create this image looking like this because of course, you know, certain people, I'm like, whoa, Jesus was from a region where obviously, and we talked about this the other day on the show, he didn't look like this. It is what it is. He didn't look like this. There's no historical representation. And this is what also kind of came to mind yesterday when I was thinking about this. Have y'all realized that we don't have really any depiction of Jesus before this depiction of Jesus? That was just funny to me. Like, we don't have any depictions. And I know with Muhammad, they said respectful to the tradition, to the Muslim religion and their traditions. They don't depict his face. And I know with like the prophets in the Baha'i faith, it is prohibited that you show an image of what the person looks like. And I think that is because they want to encapsulate and make everybody feel as if the religion is for them, because they know if they create an image of looking like one person, it would deter people that did not look like them, because symbolism is important, especially if you're trying to promote a religion that promotes oneness in humanity rather than not necessarily sameness, but oneness, not necessarily just for your particular group, your particular country, your particular region. So when I looked at this image, I was just like, oh, that's interesting. So I asked ChatGPT, and the reason why I thought it was interesting, because I asked ChatGPT before, I one time I just typed, what did the people in Palestine and Jerusalem look like the original people there? And based on the response that I got from ChatGPT, I was very surprised to see this. Not really surprised, but I called it out. So I asked ChatGPT, why isn't anyone black or brown? ChatGPT said, that's a valid concern and you're absolutely right to bring it up. Many of the most influential prophets came from regions like the Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia, areas historically home to black and brown people. Unfortunately, many artistic traditions, especially Western ones, have long presented prophets through a Eurocentric lens, which erases or whitewashes their true ethnic backgrounds. Interesting, ChatGPT. For example, Moses and Jesus were Middle Eastern and likely had darker, olive-toned, or brown skin, not the light-skinned versions often shown in art. Well, ChatGPT, even there in that description, is being a little bit modest, because you don't have to really guess. You don't have to say likely, or you could actually just reference what the Bible said. What was it, like bronze, burnt like bronze? I forget the exact description. Muhammad, who is traditionally not depicted in Islam, was an Arab man, almost certainly brown-skinned. Prophets from Africa, like those mentioned in the Bible, for example, Zipporah's Ethiopian heritage or Simon of Cyrene, are often overlooked in art. Buddha was from what is now Nepal or northern India, and his skin tone would reflect that. Would you like me to recreate this image featuring prophets portrayed with historically accurate skin tones and features reflecting their world origins? I wrote yes. And this is the image that they sent back. So I thought that it was very interesting in how they're depicting certain things. So neither here nor there, that just goes to the point that, and hold on, let me get back to the actual letter. But when we're talking about Kyrie Irving saying, I can't be anti-Semite, when Osama Bin Laden is saying the people of Palestine are pure Arabs and original Semites, now I'm understanding why, more so, they had an issue with Kyrie Irving putting up, not only tweeting at the time, it was Twitter, tweeting the documentary that he put up, that people said were anti-Semitic and all these other things that I looked at, and I still don't understand what exactly they're saying in the documentary is anti-Semitic. And nobody who claimed that it was anti-Semitic actually said, this is the part that's anti-Semitic. So therefore, I'm still lost on that. But I'm really understanding that this is not an issue of anti-Semitism. It's an issue of people being scared that certain things will be uncovered, or that certain perspectives will be altered to see them not in the favorable way that we grew up seeing Jewish people, due to our Americanized, Westernized education with the public school system, maybe your private schools as well, where we learn about the Holocaust, but we don't learn about any other religion's genocides. We always learn about the Holocaust from a mindset where we see Jewish people as victims, and that this terrible atrocity, which was terrible, was committed to them, but we only learn about it that way. And it's always funny how a lot of the same people that will tell Black people to get over slavery, which was for hundreds of years, never seem to have that same energy when it comes to Jewish people getting over the Holocaust, which obviously was not for 400 years. I'm not comparing which one was worse. What I am comparing is people's reactions to it, people's responses to it, people's perspectives on it. The energy seems to shift a bit different. Just being honest. So just kind of just sharing with y'all the thoughts that I have as these things come up in my mind. And my fault that I'm not paying attention. And Maya wrote, the depiction of Jesus didn't start until Michelangelo. She wrote it a little wrong. Maya can spell. She's on the plane. All right, give her some slack. Give her some grace. The depiction of Jesus didn't start until Michelangelo. A lot of people are not aware of this, and I don't even know if it's believed by everybody, or I don't even know if it's a fact. I believe it. But Michelangelo was commissioned to paint that previous picture that I showed y'all of Jesus. But why? Why would somebody intentionally create an image that does not look like the person that was depicted in such a holy Bible that was inspired by God? Why would you issue on God's inspiration like that and change it? Perhaps that's some of the same things that the rabbi that we saw earlier, perhaps those are some of his thoughts when he says you can't use Judaism to commit something that is against our religion. From his perspective, not mine. There's just a lot of irony in a lot of all these things occurring. So let's get back to the letter, and we shall go from there. All right. And the Skeeg, shout out to Skeeg in the building. War, what it is good for? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And Maya wrote, I learned that at the Vatican. Which part did you learn at the Vatican? Just want to make sure that I'm correct on that. 250 years of corruption. You're right. More than that, actually. More than that. Let's keep going.
Arabs and original Semites. It is the Muslims who are the inheritors of Moses and the inheritors of the real Torah that has not been changed. Muslims believe in all of the prophets, including Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon them all. If the followers of Moses have been promised a right to Palestine in the Torah, then the Muslims are the most worthy nation of this. When the Muslims conquered Palestine and drove out the Romans, Palestine and Jerusalem returned to Islam, the religion of all the prophets, peace be upon them. Therefore, the call to a historical right to Palestine cannot be raised against the Islamic Ummah that believes in all the prophets of Allah, and we make no distinction between them. The blood pouring out of Palestine must be equally revenged. You must know that the Palestinians do not cry alone. Their women are not widowed alone. Their sons are not orphaned alone. You attacked us in Somalia. You supported the Russian atrocities against us in Chechnya.
I want to address one part. He says the blood pouring out of Palestine must be equally revenged. This is that conversation that we have where violence only begets violence. This is ungodly to me. The blood pouring out of Palestine must be equally revenged. This is ungodly to me. You know what it seems like? It seems like the people that are pushing for Israel and condoning Israel to commit atrocities in Palestine, killing maybe 150, 60, 70,000 people. I heard something that Thomas Massey said in an interview where he said 1 out of 40 Palestinians have been killed. If that was America, that would equal, like that ratio would be 10 million Americans. And he was saying how pretty much everybody in Palestine has lost somebody in their family, at least a cousin or something, you know what I mean? And you look at the energy between this letter and then what's going on right now with what I believe is a genocide in Palestine. You look at it and you're like, damn, these are equal opposites. Or maybe just equals. They're rationalizing doing the same thing. Obviously, it's opposing, so because they're committing against each other, but it's the same type of behavior. It's tit for tat. It's you hit me, now I hit you, and And you get to a point where, going back to that video that we showed with Game of Thrones, where I forget the characters, Rhaenys was talking to Rhaenyra. If I got that right, then shout out to me. Or Rhaenyra was talking to Rhaen. I don't know, but if I got both names right, then I'm patting myself on the back. Where she was telling the other one, Rhaenys was telling Rhaenyra, or vice versa, that you get to a certain point in the war where nobody remembers what caused it. Everybody's just responding. And this responsive energy is what is evil, destructive, and ungodly. So whether it's Jewish people responding in a certain way, or it's Muslims responding in a certain way, and I'm not saying all Jewish people, I'm not saying all Muslims, obviously. Let me rephrase that. If it's people who are responding in the name of Judaism one way, if it's people that are responding in the name of Islam one way, using the religions to justify these violent responses, to me, it's ungodly on both sides. Period.
You must know that the Palestinians do not cry alone. Their women are not widowed alone. Their sons are not orphaned alone. You attacked us in Somalia. You supported the Russian atrocities against us in Chechnya, the Indian oppression against us in Kashmir, and the Jewish aggression against us in Lebanon. Under your supervision, consent, and orders, the governments of our countries which act as your agents attack us on a daily basis. These governments prevent our people from establishing the Islamic Sharia, using violence and lies to do so. These governments give us a taste of humiliation and places us in a large prison of fear and subdual. These governments steal our ummah's wealth and sell them to you at a paltry price. These governments have surrendered to the Jews and handed them most of Palestine, acknowledging the existence of their state over the dismembered limbs of their own people. The removal of these governments is an obligation upon us and a necessary step to free the Ummah, to make the Sharia the supreme law, and to regain Palestine. And our fight against these governments is not separate from our fight against you. You steal our wealth and oil at paltry prices because of your international influence and military threats. This theft is indeed the biggest theft ever witnessed by mankind in the history of the world. Your forces occupy our countries. You spread your military bases throughout them. You corrupt our lands, and you besiege our sanctities to protect the security of the Jews and to ensure the continuity of your pillage of our treasures.
If you were a Palestinian or an Arab living in this region, would you, and you heard Osama Bin Laden or you read this, it probably would rile you up. And I'm not sure that you would have a lot of disagreement in it. Now, you may disagree with the violent aspect and retaliating with revenge. You may or you may not. Now, I'm sure every time a situation like what's happening in Gaza or bombs dropped in Iran, because we're trying to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon, but it's okay for other people to have secret nuclear weapons, allegedly, especially a group of people, and I'm talking about Israel, especially when you, from your perspective, see that Israel has committed all these atrocities with the help of Big Bro America.
First and foremost, want to give a huge shout out to everybody that continues to tap in with us, like and subscribe and join our community. If you haven't already, please make sure that you do. We look forward to engaging in some dope convo with you that can help us all elevate. So like, subscribe, and maybe even share the video if you're feeling real generous. On that note, we'll let you get back to the video. See you soon.
I could see how people could turn very radical. And this is the point. Violence only creates more radicalism. I don't think that you drop a bomb on Iran and destroy their nuclear facility, allegedly, and now they're just like, oh yeah, we're good. We're cool. All good here. We're ready to sign a deal, Trump. I don't think that occurs. And if that does occur, then to me, it just shows that y'all were lying about these people from the beginning. Y'all were gassing it up. They want to destroy America. They committed to assassination attempts on Trump. If those people, after you dropping a bomb on their nuclear weapons that they've invested a whole lot of money, time, effort, and energy into for protection for their people, if they're all of a sudden after that ready to just shake hands, sign a deal, dap up, then I would say that they weren't the people that you sold us on in the beginning. Now, if they are those people that you sold us on in the beginning, that they're here to destroy America, they see us as the big Satan, the Israel as the little Satan. If all of that stuff is true, then I'm pretty sure that you just radicalized even more of them. Perhaps made them raise some money. Remember when Trump got shot? What happened right after Trump got shot? They raised a whole lot of money. It almost worked as like, it was almost, obviously it's not perfect for Trump to get shot, but from a standpoint of boosting him with the election, it gave him an amazing boost. Why do we look at this any different?
You have starved the Muslims of Iraq, where children die every day. It is a wonder that more than 1.5 million Iraqi children have died as a result of your sanctions, and you did not show concern. Yet when 3,000 of your people died, the entire world rises and has not yet sat down.
Whew. Keep in mind, we're not talking about this current situation. But isn't it kind of crazy how history has replayed out again? He just said that when 3,000 people died, I guess he's referring to 9/11, the entire world rises and has not yet sat down. But when the Iraqi children died,
it is a wonder that more than
1.5 million Iraqi children died. Did people in America care? Did you care? I didn't care. I'm just being totally honest. Like, I'm not saying that I don't care now, but at the time I did not care. It wasn't a concern of mine. I did not care. And I think more of us, if that's the case, should acknowledge that and understand why we didn't care. Understand how we were propagandized. Understand how a lot of us that claim to be Christians, a lot of us that came to be good Jewish people, good Muslims, good Christians across the board, good religious folk. How could you not shed a tear or care when 1.5 million Iraqi children died? Oh, it was justified because 3,000 Americans died. I got you. Sounds very similar to what we're seeing or what we have seen happen when it comes to October 7th, when 200 and something people are kidnapped, but that's enough for justifying 70,000 plus Palestinians dying and destroying their entire country and displacing everybody. I got it.
1.5 million Iraqi children have died as a result of your sanctions, and you did not show concern. Yet when 3,000 of your people died, the entire world rises and has not yet sat down. You have supported the Jews in their idea that Jerusalem is their eternal capital and agreed to move your embassy there. With your help and under your protection, the Israelis are planning to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Under the protection of your weapons, Sharon entered the Al-Aqsa Mosque to pollute it as a preparation to capture and destroy it. These tragedies and calamities are only a few examples of your oppression and aggression against us. It is commanded by our religion and intellect that the oppressed have a right to return the aggression. Do not await anything from us but jihad, resistance, and revenge.
It is commanded by religion and intellect that the oppressed
and intellect that the oppressed have a right
to return the aggression.
It is commanded by
It is commanded by religion and intellect that the oppressed have a right to return the aggression. We're going to stop here. Do we understand how any form of violence, like it's just any form of war, like it's just not going to lead us to the place where all of our religions tell us that we're supposed to be striving for? I believe closer to God, bringing all of us together, living in harmony. It's better to be killed than to kill. And when I first started saying that, I was asking it as a question, like there was a question mark. It was like a question mark. The more I kept saying it and thinking about it, it went from a question mark to 3 dots because I was pondering on it. Pontificating, is that the right word? I'm getting closer and closer, and maybe I'm at the point where now there's just a period after that sentence. It is better to be killed than to kill. And I feel like I'm quickly approaching an exclamation point at the end of that sentence. And I don't think I ever saw myself getting to that point. And I don't know if I am, and maybe I'm just, and maybe I'm not to that point, but maybe I just believe that that's what is righteous and godly. Because we could sit here, I could sit here and say like, no, that's definitely, it's better to be killed than to kill. I could sit here and say that is the right way of thinking, that is principled, moral, that's the values that I want to have. I can say that. However, if somebody ran in this house right now, I don't know if I live it out. I'm just being totally honest with y'all. I don't know. We just never know. But I don't want, because I don't know what I would do in a situation, to distract me from acknowledging what is the godly thing to do in that situation. So I just don't know. Whew. We're going to leave it there. And Big Bro Steve wrote, I would disagree in instances of self-preservation. And that's the thing. Self-preservation, I think, has led us to convincing ourselves that a lot of the acts that we commit against other people are righteous and justified. Perhaps self-preservation shouldn't be just seen as us in the flesh. Perhaps it should be seen as the self-preservation of our spirit, rather than just the flesh, because there's a lot of people that will live here and preserve their physical life, but they did not preserve their spirit, in my opinion. You're not preserving your spirit, but it's just stuff for us to consider. And Unc wrote, and you're right, it's easier to be a model than to be a victim, man. These are just tough conversations. And I don't expect us to just hear this stuff and to just say, and Unc said, you're scaring me now, nephew. I'm being honest because when you look at humanity, violence is only leading to more violence. And it gets to a certain point where, I'll give you an example. And hold on, I got to check this text. I'll give you an example. Oh, Maya sent the oldest image of Jesus. Oh, that's interesting, bub. That's wild, actually. That's very wild. Maya just sent this over for the oldest image of Jesus. Yeah, that looks kind of crazy to me. Wait, cookies. Yeah, that looks kind of crazy. But back to what I was saying as far as with the violence. Are we bought into humanity? And when it comes to any conflict, when does a conflict stop? A conflict stops when the person that got hit last decides not to retaliate. A conflict stops when the person who got hit last decides to not retaliate. So when you have two religions that are going against each other, who both believe that it's their godly duty, and maybe that they have to do it to be a good Christian, a good Jewish person, good Muslim, whatever it may be, then we realize that these wars are never going to stop. And Steve brought up an interesting point, and I'm glad that you asked this. Who takes over the earth if the good are unwilling to defend themselves and the innocent against those that force their will on any that stand between them and what they want? But see, Steve, your point, as if you're saying this as if there's a premise that good. Is America good? Steve, let me ask you this. Is America good? Because you're establishing, you're saying a statement based on a premise that I believe is an impossible premise or a false premise. Because who determines what's good? We're celebrating America, right? I started off the show by saying, Happy 4th of July, Happy Independence Day. Perhaps that's a slap in the face to some of my ancestors. Perhaps that's a slap in the face to some of my great-great-grandparents who did not have their independence when America thought it was so important for America to have independence. But America stood up, right? What's good and what's evil? And now this is a little bit semantics. And it's funny that you say this, Steve. By America, are you speaking of the American government? It's funny that you say that because Osama Bin Laden actually addresses that. He actually addresses that America, the people are responsible as well. I think we have to take ownership, right? Do the American people get to just sit back and say, oh, our hands are clean, we had no involvement in any of this stuff, even though we voted for a lot of these people? This is the same argument that I have with a lot of Democrats that will sit here and say, oh, I didn't vote for boys to be playing sports with girls. I didn't vote for open borders. I just wanted my Social Security. This is why when I say that I voted for Trump, I have to take on the responsibility of everything that Trump does. And obviously, I'm not even rocking with Trump right now. And we'll have more of that discussion on Monday, but I got to do a little bit of a deeper dive into this bill. I'm rocking with Elon right now. I'm rocking with Thomas Massey. But I have to accept the responsibility of what the decision that I made by going to the ballot box and putting Trump, of what that brings to the rest of the world. And if more of us took responsibility in those things, perhaps we would take our decisions more seriously. So when you ask, am I speaking of America or am I speaking about the American government? You tell me who I should be speaking about. Because the people are the ones that fight in the war, right? The American government, the politicians aren't the ones fighting in the wars. The politicians aren't the ones that are going over there and killing Arab people, right? Netanyahu's not catching bodies. It's the military, the common folk that are doing it on behalf of the government, right? It's them using our tax dollars to commit all these atrocities, right? So going back to your original question, when you said who takes over the earth if the good are unwilling to defend themselves and the innocent against those that force their will on any that stand between them and what they want? Perhaps it's God. Perhaps it's God. Perhaps it's other people recognizing, hey, what's going on over there in Palestine is wrong. And those people, let's say if there was no retaliation, perhaps it's the rest of the country recognizing like, yo, this is messed up. Perhaps it's just like if we're walking down the street and if we see somebody getting harassed or if we see somebody getting ready to be pulled into a car or a young lady, you don't have to kill the person that did it, right? But you can still save her from that situation. I'm just asking. Because based on your statement, Steve, who takes over the earth if the good are unwilling to defend themselves? Who determines who's the good? You and I? Because there's a lot of things that I say on this podcast that I think are from a good perspective that I'm sure if a lot of Zionists hear, they won't like it. So who determines what's good? Hold on. Steve wrote, the government types have never been the ones to fight in the war that the government types make the decision to fight. But this is what we talked about with Candace Owens. Do we not place any responsibility on our military members who decide to go get involved in wars, destroying women and kids, but they stand behind, well, my country told me to do it. We can criticize police officers, right, that do foul things, but, oh, well, my superior officer told me to conduct it that way. Candace Owens said that if her sons were drafted in the military, she'd rather them go to jail rather than to go fight and kill people overseas on behalf of Israel and America. A lot of people came out against her. A lot of people. Everybody wasn't on Muhammad Ali's side when he said those Viet Congs didn't do anything to me. Are we taking our orders from the government or are we taking our orders from God? If that's the case, then if we're separating the government from the people, then are all the people that fought in the Nazi army, do we give them no blame at all? Like, do they have no responsibility? Do they have no accountability in what they were doing? Because, hey, I was just taking orders. This is my entire problem when I said earlier, talking about the Diddy case with why I don't like RICOs. I don't like these RICOs because it takes responsibility, excuse me, off of the people that committed countless crimes with the person at the top. It gives them immunity and just holds them accountable and just holds the one person accountable. No, everybody needs to be held accountable. Everybody. Steve wrote, government and the media weave very compelling propaganda that continually sucks in many. Propaganda or not, we are all responsible. We are responsible for the decisions that we make, period. It doesn't matter. Just like some people decide to not look into Project 2025 and they just want to put out propaganda about it. You're responsible. If you decide to read it, you can read it. We cannot sit here and say, we don't think that, I mean, Steve, do you not think that Israeli soldiers are fed propaganda? Do we not think that, okay, so let's look at it like this. What's the terrorist organization right now in what's the terrorist organization right now that we're fighting? Or that, dang, how did I forget this already? Terrorist organization right now. Hold on. Terrorist organization, Palestine. Hamas. I didn't have to look it up. So should we take responsibility and accountability off of the Hamas members who are just listening to the people at the top? If some MS-13 gang members, or if some Blood gang members, some Gangster Disciples, if some Tren de Agua gang members commit a crime, but they were just listening to their boss, their OG, should we remove all accountability off of them? Why do we look at it different when it's the government? Isn't the government supposed to have a higher standard? Shouldn't military members have a higher standard than just some street gangs? We hold them in higher regards, but we hold them but their standards are lower. How does that make any sense? And that's why a lot of military members who go overseas and commit a lot of these atrocities and these genocides, that's why they get radicalized. That's why some of them start to join some of these groups. Let me not get into it too much, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. So Steve wrote, they absolutely do, and it's very effective. That's the reason why they do it. I'm not saying we as a country are righteous. I don't believe we are. So that's my point, Steve. If America's not righteous, then who is? That's why you can't look at it as good and evil. Well, if this group of people stands up against evil, against this people, what's evil? I guess somebody should have stood up against Christopher Columbus. But to your point, Steve, do you not think that Osama Bin Laden believes that he's standing up to evil? If you're standing in Osama Bin Laden's shoes and you're hearing his manifesto, do you not think that what he believes he's doing, he believes he's standing up to evil? He believes he's standing up to terror. It's like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. It's all subjective, right? That's why the only answer is no violence. There's only one answer. And I understand your initial point was me personally defending myself or other innocents around me. No, I get it, and I'm not saying that we're just using this to have a conversation. Trust me, I believe that you are a good person. I believe that you're a good person, but that's the whole point. How we can all be swayed to look one way or another based on propaganda. I told y'all before, those 1.5 million kids that died, those are Iraqi kids, I did not care. I don't think the majority of Americans cared. And Thought Fields wrote, and you individually might not have voted for your representative, but they still represent you. And that is how the system works. It's just how it works. So do we have an obligation, I don't know, to voice our opinion, to voice our thoughts on not accepting what's going on in Gaza right now? I think so. I think we have an obligation to that. Will all of us take the obligation? Will it be in different ways? Perhaps it will be in different ways. Perhaps it will be in different ways. Unc said, and I really find that funny that we're fighting ISIS and it's ICE that's picking up the people here. That's just funny to me. Yeah. That is, I never even looked at it like that. And no, I do not agree voters have to take full responsibility for every decision a representative makes. If that's not the case, then we'll be able to just keep voting how we're voting now. I take full responsibility in everything that Trump decides to do, because that is how our system works. I could easily sit here and say, nah, I only voted for Trump because he gives better business breaks for independent contractors. Like, really? That's like saying, oh, I support Hitler because, well, actually, you know, he was mad at the Jews for getting involved in the banking industry. And because, you know, I'm just worried about my business. Now I won't have to compete with Jewish people anymore. So therefore, I support Hitler. Like, that's would be insane to say. So how do you not take full responsibility for the decisions that your representatives make? It's the only way to do it. Like, oh, so who's to say that? And then we get into this conversation around, well, I'll take responsibility for this one, but not responsibility for that. I'll take responsibility for this and not responsibility for that. I think we're seeing how this problem plays out. So let's leave it there. Let's do this. Y'all know what we do at the end. I'm sorry I kept y'all over. What we do at the end of every show is take 45 seconds. Oh, shoot. Maya just sent the update. Surgeon who announced Brigitte Macron's transgender transformation found dead in Paris. Wow. We will talk about that on Monday, Maya. We're supposed to talk about it today, but I figured we may not get to everything. So at the end of every show, we take 45 seconds, breathe, manifest, meditate, do whatever it is that you need to. You know, we set out every Sunday and Monday to make this our greatest week ever. Hopefully it was, or hopefully you got a fighting chance to make it happen. But take the 45 seconds to do whatever it is that you need. What we like to do is exhale all the negative energy, inhale positive. Exhale negative, inhale positive, to the point that we're only inhaling and exhaling positive energy and spreading that through the rest of the world, elevating the frequency. So on that note, close your eyes if you're in a safe place. Leave them open if you decide to, but we'll start our 45 seconds now. One last exhale, one last inhale. Whew. Thought fields in the building. All right, so we do have a schedule. We do every Monday, Friday at 8 a.m. In the meantime, we do more shows than that. We wanted to do 3 this week. We weren't able to. We were moving. We're still caught up in this moving. We've moved. This is our 3rd move, Maya and I, in the last 6 weeks, maybe. This is our 3rd move. So bear with us for a bit. Next week, we'll be able to do 3 shows. Obviously, I'm back upstairs now. I keep having to switch places because they're playing with my internet downstairs in the studio. Hopefully that's taken care of. So we'll be able to be down there setting up things for that. And yeah, just excited. And have an announcement for y'all later today. If you check out the Instagram, I'll put it on all the platforms though. So I'll make sure I have it on LinkedIn, Facebook as well. And I'll send it out on YouTube. But big announcement today coming later on. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know we come here to do, elevate on purpose. And Thought Fields, yeah, definitely make sure. Thought Fields, I like your insight. So definitely make sure that you tap in with us. If you want, you can follow us on Instagram as well, the OG Network. Sometimes we have a big group chat where we'll throw different content back and forth, have some laughs on there as well. Strength and honor, onward and upward. Y'all know what we come here to do, elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint as well as raising our standards to become the best leaders we can become that are needed now more than ever. Every time I say that, I feel like it matters more, right? I feel like the temperature is turned up to where we got to start standing on the things that we believe in, standing on principles and standing on our godliness. And we're raising our standards to become not only the best leaders we can become, but to grow into the individuals that we need to become to accomplish these goals, these amazing goals, these audacious goals that we set out for ourselves, that we know we are built for because we're willing to sacrifice the time, effort, and energy in order to get there. I already gave y'all the strength and honor, already gave y'all the onward and upward. Only thing left to do is make sure that you get into that bag. All right. For those that don't know what I mean when I say get to that bag, all the little things that are going to make sure that we're aligned with the proper trajectory to live in our purpose as we strive for purposeful abundance and make that impact on the world that we like to refer to as our personal legend. What's in my bag? Peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and in everything we do, integrity. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Steve, bro, strength and honor. Be the change. Enjoy your weekend. God bless, big bro. And I can't wait to see you in person, man. I'll see you soon. I'll be seeing you and Professor soon. Yeah, Uncle tell you usually 8 to 10 a.m. Uncle, no, thank you for liking and subscribing. This is a real family show. This is a real family show. Like everybody from just for thought fields, just so you know, since you're new, like this is just a family group chat that we have over video. That's what this pretty much is. So yeah, we like to share stuff in here. We keep it respectful. We go back and forth on stuff. But one thing that we always do is we understand, and I think everybody's just committed to being the best people that we can become and helping to elevate everybody. Shy sent the gang. Unc said, one love, family, to the old OG network. Always one love, but pay attention to idiots with fireworks. May you be peaceful. I see no distress ever in your life. One love always. Unc crazy out here. Yeah, watch out. Don't nobody come back Monday talking about they blew off a hand or anything like that. And of course, we got to save Queez for last because Queez always finishes out with the fireworks. Happy 4th, y'all. Enjoy your Independence Day. Let's celebrate and let's think about how we are very privileged to be in this land that we call America, all right? We're very privileged to be here and to be sharing it during a time with everybody that's here. So let's celebrate. Let's celebrate our loved ones. Let's celebrate the people that are no longer here. Let's just continue to just be grateful and to show that gratitude in how we treat each other moving forward. So on that note, I shall see y'all soon. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Ew.